I'd like to try this last exercise. So based on everybody's experience here, we're going to come back to this question. We tried it during the first session. It wasn't very successful. People were missing a lot of context. So based on everything that I've presented to you today and based on the exercise that you've just had, we're going to repeat this over and we'll see how the answers change. List to me the products, projects, programs, whatever, the working groups that you think make sense for Giveth. We're going to take a sticky note and everyone can just post them down as they want. I'll share my screen again, sorry. And so this is it here. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to try that out. So if you're looking at this page here on my screen, oh man, the scroll is just crazy. Ooh, somebody made a second one. Oh no. Okay. Okay. So go ahead, just grab a sticky note, and based on everything that we've done here and all the information that you've just read, let us know what working groups do you think make sense for Giveth going into the future.
It's out of control.
What is going on here, guys? Just stick notes.
Ah.
Stop. Hurts. Oh my god. I should record this.
Dear God, I hope that wasn't me. Somebody give me a sticky.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, everything was locked and then everything was grouped together, so people were copy pasting the whole group, and I think it should be good now.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, I got it now. I got it. We're back on track.
Okay.
So Mitch, all together, groups and projects, or one node for groups and one node for projects?
What you think would become a working group, you know? So
Okay.
if, like, for example, you know, Lauren had written down, it was like give backs, give stream, regen farms, you know, get power, and then it was like going through the process, you're like, these don't make sense to be separate, you know?
Okay.
So they should probably be one working group. What would that be?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Little boy. What can I do for you? Mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll give about a minute and a half.
Corey, where'd your
Right.
SEO sticker go?
About another 10 seconds or so.
Hey, Corey,
Finish up
did you
your
take
thoughts.
What
away
was
that
that?
SEO? Did you take away your SEO sticker?
I'm just working on one sticker and I'm kind of renaming things because I don't know that SEO
Oh,
needs to be
gotcha.
one working
Okay.
group. Default,
Oh,
that's a
okay.
one
Okay.
topic underneath. Yeah.
Growth marketing, I see. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Next up, let's take about 2 minutes. Let's look at all the stickies that we have and let's try and put things that are similar together.
Whoa!
Operations.
Oh!
Oh, I see
Oh!
you put
You gotta,
multiple ideas on
you
one
gotta,
sticky line.
yeah, you gotta get them on different stickies.
Oh. On the sticky I made for Give Economy, I meant Give Economy includes all these things
Yeah.
as one word.
Yeah, there's Kify operations growth. Lauren.
What? I didn't write that.
Oh, maybe that was Kai.
No, I wrote Lauren because you have so many cool things, but like it,
The Lauren working group?
it feels like
Oh,
you
Lauren,
should
you
find another form. It looks
But I
great.
think, but yeah. But Corey, yours are all different ones, right?
Yeah, sorry. It's just annoying for me to create individual stickies every time I want to write one thing. I can separate them out after. I'm just thinking.
I'll do it.
It's all good.
But I'm just trying to get them all down first.
I'll do it.
Givers. Givers is like the PFP?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'll do it, Corey.
Referral program. Okay. Community. Is there a community one already? Community pile?
There's some things of community on the bottom right.
It's community growth.
The events over here on the bottom right, but also it's like,
Growth marketing.
I don't know, I feel more confused now than I did before we started.
Well, some of them make sense and some of them are like by themselves, which I think is interesting.
Right.
The most interesting one is there's just sticky note that just says Lauren. That's some props right there.
I want Jake in the Lauren group.
I
Oh
want to be
man,
in the Lauren working group.
this is getting weird. Oh no. Okay. Let's freeze right there. I think it's like close enough. You guys know the drill from the last one we had here. Pick a star. I'm sorry if I didn't get your name this time. Dish out 5 stars each to the working groups or clusters that make the most sense to you. And this actually helps me a lot figure out the next steps based on what people think makes the most sense. You can put them on a grouping, you can put it on an individual sticky.
Just 5, Mitch?
Do you want 6?
Well, I mean, I used up 5 really fast.
Okay. Well, let's do 6. You can't put them on everything though.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd my other star go? Oh dear. Oh, is that mine?
I'm really confused about like all these community stickies. Like there's a cluster, but then some of them are just like randomly apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's still something we need to work on. I don't think we quite figured it out. The interesting thing for me is like where there's concrete ideas and they all sort of say the same thing, then it's like, okay, that's probably a winner. But if it's like still really vague, we probably still have to work on it more.
I think just since we only have 2 minutes left, I just want to say the hardest part throughout the scoring thing for me was like the overlap questions, because it's like as the working groups are now, where's the overlap? Yes. But as we change them, like that overlap might not be there in the future. So that was really difficult to try to, it's like, okay, so if we did them all as community events, there wouldn't be overlap. But if we do them individually, there would be, or it's like, where does it overlap with comms and what groups are they going to end up with? Will there still be overlap once they're done creating their new groups? So that was hard for me to score with the overlap stuff.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. Some of them it's like clear, like there's no overlap, and some of them there's still like these big question marks. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, I
I
also think that
it's... Go ahead.
I also think that the overlap got a lot of minus points, but on the one hand, like if we are making it more granular, then we can vote out if something is not working, like Griff has been mentioning. So communities can be separating a lot of things, but then it overlaps with a lot of the same people, for example. And so that's a tricky situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or overlapping on higher level goals, especially as community. It's like our higher level goals are the goals of the mission, vision, and values of Giveth. And if all the working groups are working towards the mission, vision, and values of Giveth, then that's overlapping with our goals.
Yeah, I was thinking it like that too, but
It probably needs to be defined better then, because it's like if it's just this amorphous thing that we can't pin down, then it probably needs to be more specific. Yeah, I know I'm boring, Griff.
I have to jump out and also probably take Lauren to the index scope call. Thanks, Mitch, for organizing this.
Okay. If anyone has any notes or anything, otherwise we can always catch it on the next governance call on Monday. But if you have anything you want to write down now, go ahead and just drop me a sticky here in the summary. Okay.
Thanks for working on this, Mitch. It's pretty incredible.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for organizing this. I just want to remind to all of us, just be patient with this process.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care. Ciao for
Thank
now.
you, everybody. Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm. What does Griff think? That's what I want to know.
I'm actually wondering, so a bit of feedback, I think this process is really cool, but I think the time constraint makes it super difficult. I know, and I don't have an immediate solution for that, but it's just it feels like crazy rushed to be working on something this important and throwing it through sticky notes right now. And I know that's part of it is to be fast, but I'm like, and I'm just starting to write things down, and then we're moving stars around, and then it's boom. And I'm not sure how quality the output is from that. It has pros and cons. It's just man, I wish this part we just did, that we have an entire hour just for that, to go through this properly and slowly and think about that. Or maybe why are we already on this part when we were just starting the other part? It's it just feels I don't know. I don't know if I'm articulating myself well.
No, I understand you, and it's okay, how do I get everybody here for 2 hours or 3 hours, you know, because that might be how long it takes.
This is a full day. This is not, you know, it's kind of like yeah, normally, like, I don't know, I would see it as like an offsite sit down. You're talking about organizational restructuring, you know, like you sit down for a couple days in a row kind of a thing with like key team members, and you just go through it thoughtfully, like long format. But I know, you know, we're a distributed team and we're everywhere, and doing that digitally across a million time zones is difficult. So I'm just saying that's kind of the format normally that would produce some really nice output, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And how do we, even if we did an online session, how do we keep people engaged for 4 hours? You know, how do we keep people engaged more than an hour and a half on like Discord?
I'm just wondering, like, kind of how we're thinking about taking entire days off to do AI research and development. Would we consider doing a virtual offsite? You know, I don't know. Again, time zones make this hard.
We think about it.
And you know, there's really cool programs like where you can meet. Well, I mean, we have Discord, it's fine. But maybe there's ways to segment virtual offsites by time zones over a course of like a day or two, and have overlaps. And then you have to schedule in breaks and, like, I don't know. There's just got to be maybe a way that we could make this a little more long format, piece by piece.
I do think it's interesting. I'm like, yeah, pulling it all together would be interesting. It would be tough. But that's some really great feedback.
I just feel like I'm producing not great quality here myself. I'm looking back at it and I'm like, oh wait, why did I write all that? I would have written something else. And it's because I'm like feeling really stressed. I'm like, okay, I got 5 minutes, you know, like, and it's like really important.
I wanted to see if the methodology even works. Like, I don't want to waste your time on something that doesn't even work to begin with. So it's like, this was good for me because people are like, hey, these questions, maybe they don't make sense even. So that's the sanity check.
Yeah, I agree with Corey and you, Mitch, as well. Like, the magnitude of breaking into SubDAOs and restructuring the whole DAO itself is massive, where it's like cramming it in doesn't give it justice. But then on the other end, since we haven't tried something like this, we need to get to like some type of working feature to see that if this even works for Giveth itself. So it's like, how do you do that without jumping into the fire? And so a little of it is like, unless we're all in and saying, yep, it's going to work no matter what, and we're going to work as hard as we can to make it work, we don't know that it is going to work. And so it's like the double-edged sword of Corey's right, like at this magnitude. And if we're saying this is going to work, then it probably needs more time to filter out. But if we're still under a trial run phase, then we have to trial run it.
Okay. Griff, you've been so quiet. I can tell you're busy writing.
Yeah, and I dominate the conversation so often, you know. But yeah, I'm writing down my comments. I think that we, as far as like the macro conversation, I think we have to just do what we have to do to push forward on this. It's not like this session was rushed, but at the same time, SubDAOification has been a topic for many months, at least 3-4 months, maybe more. I think it's good that we're pushing forward, doing sessions, whatever works, and giving, you know, Mitch some opportunity to be the architect here, you know.
Oh, you're noble here. Yeah.
Getting feedback on your, you know, on the direction, and, you know, just constantly tweaking and figuring out, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And I think you're doing a good job at it, honestly. It's an impossible task, and you're managing it. So
I don't think anybody's done it like this. at least what I saw in Gitcoin, it was like Kevin Olson says, we're doing it like this. And then it's just like, that has its own consequences. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely taking herding cats to a new level.
Herding DAO contributors. That's like the next level. Okay. I'm going to leave this open. And as you think of things, just come back to it, write me more stuff. And I'm going to probably take the next day or two to process everything and maybe come back around it on Monday on our Gov call.
Yeah, why don't we go like into like we could start forming proposals or the first ones. I mean, Ashley was talking about it. I have this thing, and I mean, now I told like Griff and you and Santi and this other like small round, but I think a few ideas are just like are more ready to be discussed than others, just because people have been doing things for a long time, maybe.
Sorry, I feel a little bit more confused than I did when I felt ready to start creating proposals, to be honest. I don't know like exactly where to start if we're gonna go all product wise, because so much of community is kind of like service based, and I would really love. I know the next step is to get stewards into a call, and so I think that like having all of the stewards of these current working groups get in and say, okay, like this is what I'm seeing in my working group. Where does that overlap with your working group? How does that overlap with your vision of your new working group and your products and stuff like that? Because right now I think like I'm just seeing through my lenses. I'm only seeing through my lenses as a community steward and what products I have and what I'm working on. And I don't really see the overlap or how that will look in the future with the new structure.
So I have this fear that if we have DevOps as a group or community as a group, it'll be like what has been happening with a lot of DAOs where they have these budgets defined into like a group that you can't say no to. And that's just really it just keeps failing in DAOs, this like department style, where it's like we can't say no to DevOps. If like
No, totally. And that
we
makes
can't.
sense to me. And I'm totally willing to dissect community and make these product groups. I just don't know. I don't know the best way to do it. And so I think like that's why getting in with the other stewards and saying, okay, like, well, here's where community can offer to these products. And like, how do we do this in a way that makes sense? But I don't need to like hold on with a death grip to Communitas working group. We don't have to do, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to say, okay, well, what does it look like? Like, help me paint this picture, because from what I see, it's like a lot of the things we do don't fit into individual products.
So the interesting thing, and this is what Griff and Monique and other people have said, is like the idea of like the guild. So it's like these things that are communities of skills, and they work in the background and they work on cohesion and peer review and maintaining consistency. And so these operate in the background. So community builders, DevOps, backend engineers. So like these people have places to organize and like maintain cohesion, but then they're working in their groups, like the DApp needs DevOps, but the ambassador program doesn't need DevOps, and these are things that you can parcel out, and we can try and work like that. There's some things that I'm afraid of, like the DApp as a working group might be kind of scary because it's all comprising, it's like, okay, the DApp needs community, needs comms, needs DevOps, needs things, and it's like if we say no to it, it's just got so much stuff in its scope, and we have to break apart the scope somehow. Because I was looking at Griff's suggestion, it's like DApp, give economy, and then small projects, and it's like if we turn off the DApp, we're turning off 75% of what everybody does. The DApp as it is now, or I think at least the way Griff is trying to frame it, So, okay, the DApp is important and it deals with donors and projects and probably the main goal of everybody, but we can't stop 75% of the operation by voting no on one working group. That's too big.
I mean, we did turn off. We
Oh, you're freezing, Griff. Does that answer something for you, maybe Kai or Ashley? I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
and it
just
makes
so
sense.
much open. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I mean, it makes sense. I just have a hard time like visualizing what the picture looks like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I started to create proposals, or if we started to create a proposal, like for instance for Meet the Makers, and then we create that proposal, but then we choose to go with community events, and that would be included under community event, you know? So I'm just like, I want to get more of a concrete vision of what it looks like before I start writing these proposals that might be obsolete or not like needed.
You're back, Griff.
Yeah, well, I'm super late for another meeting, so I should probably roll.
Live streaming is on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Kai, go ahead.
Yeah. It's very interesting because there are these. Because Amin was saying that before. Wanted to say, I think you're talking about an IT department, and Griff just said, "This is not what we want." Like, and just like this department. But on the other hand, it makes so much sense.
An IT department at the chapter or a guild, and they service products,
Yeah. And
so it's
the crazy thing is that, like, because the products we're talking about, they are usually like, on a software level. So they need to be developed and they need to be deployed. And there is so much other things, especially to the dev, that like necessitates like referral and ambassador and things, because the dev is here to, change the world, to make it a better place. No. Old saying, and so it just, because there are these connected communities and like people that will here and there. I don't know. I feel like I would like to stretch out more also to the other things, because partly we are working with them. But on the other hand, there is no, real time, or like there's no real cohesion to the whole thing, and it could be more efficient. It's just what I think.
And then, like, for example, like, what about like
Might
users, for instance? If we're a guild, if Communitas is a guild, which makes sense, but users are coming to us for support, they're not gonna like put in a proposal to like fund our working group by us answering their support questions. It's like we're not necessarily servicing products in the same way that IT would be, or that devs would be. It's not like something it's like very difficult to, because we're serving a greater community. We're not just serving products.
So the scope of like the user support is like, there's user support, like people who are having trouble using the app, and then is there a different type of user support?
Onboarding projects, I guess, and like kind of showing them that. Depending on what you include in there, even people who come asking questions about collaborations or something, it's like just directing people, the traffic directors, of like where to go, sending them to the right, connecting them with the right people that they do need to talk to, kind of like the switchboard, I guess.
So it's interesting to try and like find the units, like if there's different types of user supports, then maybe those are like different units in themselves that like get categorized in different places, like partnerships might be different than onboarding projects, or doing technical support. Those might be different things, right?
Yeah, definitely. And who would we bill the hours to then, or like, so this, and I understand it's just like really trying to visualize this stuff and figure it out, because with community, it's just so intangible.
I think there's a way to do it, but it's interesting because some of them it's clear. It's like, boom, Franco knows that the wards is an autonomous unit that kind of does its thing, but then Communitas and communications, it's fuzzy. Give economy seems like it knows what it's doing, so it's like it's just some parts where we don't have it figured out yet.
Which is why I think it will be helpful to get like the stewards together and like the leadership roles together and be like, okay, so this is, this is what does this go in your product or does this go in your product, or who, and kind of like talk with them and flesh it all out that way as far as where community goes, because I'm not really like, I can't just say, oh, this is part of that product if they're not saying that it's part of their product.
Right. And some people have radically different ideas. Like Monique has a radically different idea compared to Griff, and Griff to Ashley, and it's like,
yeah,
there's on that level, like he had radically different ideas, and I was like, I don't know how to fit this in, and then he rage quit, which is cool.
I'm still confused as to whether we would consider shared services alongside product teams. Like, are we going to fully productize everything, or would we have a couple? That's, I guess, where the confusion from communications and Communitas lies, right? So,
shared services, what do you mean by that? Just to clarify.
Yeah, they're not products; they're services. So
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're shared by every product team across the org. Like every product team needs to leverage communications when that product is ready to launch. And in that sense. So, and then communications could potentially have a product team or two within it as well. Like there could be like communications products, maybe like if we wanted to call social media a product. But yeah, they're never ending products that, they're always there. So in a sense, they're also services that serve to communicate out about all the other things. So yeah, that's what I mean.
So communications is in this sense, again, like a guild or a shared service or a chapter, whatever, and they provide their services to many different groups, and then maybe there's like a group that's maybe 80% communications, like maybe you need some banners, maybe you need some DevOps, but like mostly communications, and that's fine. But at least we can compact it. We could say, okay, social media, what are they doing? What are their metrics? Are they hitting the goals? And if they're not hitting the goals, then we can we can restructure it, or we can retire it, or we can the DAO has oversight over the budget and how they're performing.
Yeah, in a sense. And I mean, Griff had an interesting input once where it's like, I don't know, percentage of product teams budget is allocated to the services that they need.
Like a tax, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Whatever you want to call it.
Work. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That needs to be thought out too in terms of money flow and budgeting. But
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick that can down the road. This tax idea, but it is interesting once we have our own budget, have our own treasury.
Yep. Okay, well, I have to jump, but I like the idea of a steward's call, and I really appreciate you organizing this. And maybe it's me as a person, but I find the format hard. It's good, but it's also hard to do the deep thinking part.
It's not long enough.
It's just, it would need to happen in advance or afterwards, or maybe it's a series of these sessions in one day, or no idea. But thanks so much for pushing forward the experimentation. Pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Okay, bye guys.
I'm gonna hang out here if there's anyone else.
Or
yeah, I have to think about the format, but yeah. Thanks, Claire.
Because I like this, what we just had, just like longer, we could beforehand come up with the points, that pain us and lay them out and share. Should do it more often. Thanks.
Yep.
Cheers.
Bye. I'll leave it open if anyone has anything else to add.
I think it was, at least like in my experience with the rewards, like you said, it's a very defined working group, and it was like kind of like easy. Then like in the DAO one, the DAO development, we had a little bit more trouble like with the overlapping thing, like Ashley mentioned as well. But overall, I think this is great, Mitch. Great work. and I completely understand where you're coming from with the products kind of like division thing, and yeah, I think this is a good path that we're taking.
Great. But I'm glad to hear that feedback because a lot of it's shooting in the dark, you know.
Yeah, the session was like way more smooth than the like everything else. Like this, it's developing and it's coming along well. And the last one, we didn't even get nearly half as much accomplished in double the time. So
Yeah.
like this was
This
so
was great. It was just throwing paint on a wall, and I was like, you know, reading the signs, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't get discouraged. We're all here together, going through it.
That's great. I'm thankful for the feedback. That's good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump off. Thanks again.
See you. Thanks, Franco. Bye.